Hey everybody, this is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report. And today I want to talk about our government and how we need to get back to holding our government accountable. As citizenry, we need to do this. We need to make sure there's checks and balances so that the government at the local, county, state, and federal level does not overstep their bounds. The American government is essentially scheming or sliding ever closer to this authoritarianism. Because us, as Americans, most of us, the majority, are clueless about our rights. Because we're brainwashed. We're watching too much of the, lifestyles of the New Yorkers or whatever those ridiculous reality shows are. And we're brainwashed. We're led to believe that all we have to get out and do is go out there and vote and life will be great and they'll do what we want them to do because we voted. That's what we need to do as a society, and that's all. But we need, as citizens, we need to hold our government accountable, and we're failing at this. Because one of the key issues, or one of the key components to this, is our youth. They're no longer being taught physics or civics at school. The fundamentals of the Constitution, our Bill of Rights. You can go out. I put these skits all the time by Mark Dice, where he'll go out and ask you just the basic questions, and the people have no idea what's happened over the last 8 years. And even before that, even under Bush, the big government has gotten bigger. The rights of the citizens have gotten smaller with the growth of government. And that's because certain principles that every American should know are not being followed. They're not being adhered to. We're not holding the government accountable to them. Rules and basic principles that our forefathers fought for, they died for. Yet we do nothing. We let them get stomped on daily. Things like, if you look at our forefathers, when they drafted the Constitution, they held that the principles were sacrosanct to the people. That we should distrust the government with a large amount of power. And that's why it's divvied down to the state levels. The purpose of Constitution, of constitutionalism, is to limit government power. To ensure that our government performs basic functions to preserve and protect our rights. Crazy stuff like our right to life, our right to liberty, our right to pursue happiness if we want to. Or how about those crazy things they call civil liberties? But the government today, I'm here to tell you, has discarded these principles. And they now see themselves essentially as the masters. And we're the puppets, the servants. It all revolves around the belief that no one is above law. We learned today that that's not true. It should be that every person is treated equal. But that's not right anymore, is it? If we look at what's been happening with the scrutiny with Hillary Clinton and many other power brokers out there, that many other globalists that are out there, that are above the law. And they shouldn't be. Everybody should be treated equal. It doesn't matter who you are. How about the separation of powers? The government, basically, we know, has three branches, right? The legislative, the executive, and judicial. I can't even speak today. Judicial. Placing all three of these powers under one branch is crazy. That's the very definition of tyranny, yet that's what we see going on today with some of these actions that are being taken by the president. There is no more checks and balances. Where did the checks and balances go? Those crazy things that our the framers of our Constitution feared, that somebody like Congress, back then it's a little different then, that Congress could abuse their powers and essentially expand into this tyrannical branch of government because they're power to tax. But what they didn't anticipate, and what many of the citizenry didn't anticipate, is the presidential powers. The presidential powers that have become so dominant today in modern day government. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected the inordinate influence of corporate powers that have a wield influence over our governmental decision making. When did the corporate powers get so much control over our government legislators, our presidents, our senators, everybody? People should have a voice in government. And we should have that voice in government by sending the elected officials, elected representatives to do our bidding. And that way it avoids, citizens having to vote every time there's an issue coming up. But I remember that at a local city council meeting, a mayor said, that he basically used this. And he said, we're the voice. We're the elected representatives. We're doing the bidding. But still, that's great that they're doing that bidding, but they got to get out and meet with the people. They can't get elected, say, hey, I got elected. I'm not going to talk to the people for 3 years. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to do their bidding. No, they got to be more inclusive. And federalism is yet another constitutional device to limit the power of government by dividing the power. Interest. It should differ from place to place. Governments, not a bureaucratic national government, should know how to handle things better. Unfortunately, we are now governed by this, essentially this top-heavy government. It's emanating out of the Beltway, the K-Streeters. They have no respect for local institutions, local traditions. These vital principles have been largely forgotten in recent years, haven't they? They've gone to the wayside, haven't they? They're obscured by this centralized government that we now have. Us, the citizens, the residents, no longer think analytically. We're sheep watching the TV. Like I said, schools don't adequately teach anymore. Basic civics, basic constitutional rights, history. So they don't realize, many of these kids don't realize the rights they actually do have. And what we do is we wander, many of us Americans wander around brainwashed. That we forgot that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's been taken away. It's no longer like that. And what we need to do as people is get out there and learn our rights. The rights our founding fathers gave us, the founding principles of America. Voice our vote. It's more than political posturing. Get out there and take action. Hold these guys accountable. And do it today. I ran for mayor, and I lost. I knew I was going to lose. Everybody had hope I'd win, but I knew it. I was going against establishment, against the media, against everybody out there. So then I still put out a piece holding my local government accountable. And somebody came on and said, oh, you're just a sore loser, big baby. No, I don't stop. I'm not stopping because I lost. You continue the fight. It's like normal life. I'm not going to sit there and once all the votes have been counted, say, hey, that's it. Life goes on. This is my guy. He'll fix the country. Because if you do that, you're going to end up a loser. Everybody loses. And the enemy is not cross-party lines. They're around us. They're the Republicans, the Democrats, all these politicians. And it's ridiculous that we draw these party lines and think, oh, it's the Democrats that are the enemy. They're not. Okay, not allowing ourselves to be corralled like these cattle, these sheep, and branded with these political labels. There's no meaning to being called a Democrat. That's why I said, I'm not going to join a party. Why are you labeling me as a Republican or a Democrat or a libertarian? You need to recognize that they're evil all around us. We're surrounded by it. Just look around. All the wars we have going on, the drone strikes, the surveillance for our safety, the militarization of our police force, the poverty that's out there, asset forfeiture, overcriminalization. They're not our making. They're ways of controlling us and profiting from us. But they're being sold to us in the manner in we've accepted it for our safety. This guy, Chris Hedges, a journalist, once said that there were once radicals in America, people who held fast to the moral imperatives. They fought for the oppressed because it was right, not because it was easy or practical. They were willing to accept the state persecution that comes with open defiance. They had the courage of their convictions. They were not afraid. Remember that? That's what brought freedom. That's what brought our democracy, our republic. We need to refuse to be divided against others with this political. We the people against the tyranny. And you need to step up. You need to go beyond just the vote, folks. And hold these guys accountable. Question them. This has been Frankie with the Uncensored Report.